So what is a database? So database is commonly used, its meaning is not always clear. So the author defines a database as a well-organized collection of data that are related in some meaningful way and which can be accessed in different logical orders, but are stored only once. So here the database, as you can see, it is a well-organized collection of data. So when the data which we are going to store in a database, it is not organized, then we cannot get accurate results. If the data is disturbed or data is having errors, then every time we try to fetch that information, we will get error data. So it is always well organized and all the data are related in some meaningful way. That means the data are connected to each other. Like we said yesterday, we saw example. If I say I want to store the details of student, the student attributes are name, roll number, address, phone number, email address. So they are all related to one student. And we can access those in different logical orders. So when we saw the example of the table, it was arranged in some order, but in database it is not required. So we can store the information and we can access them in any logical order. We will see this in detail. And data are stored only once. So there is no repetition of data in a database. So we are storing data only once and we can access with different logical orders. So therefore, a data and database is therefore integrated, structured and shared. So what do you mean by integrated? So data are all are related to each other and they are, as we saw in the definition, they are related to each other in a meaningful way. So what do you mean by structure? Structure means the data, the structure, the type, the format and the relationship between the data. These are all maintained by the database. So we call it as metadata. So the database, whatever the structure, the type and the format of the data and the relationship, so they are all in a structured manner. And shared. Shared means the data is available to different part of the database. So when we see the example, the table is not shared with somebody, some other table. The table of batsman is just a simple table. It is not shared with some other table. So that is the feature of database. Let us see the main features of data. It is well organized. It is related to each other. It is accessible to different orders without great difficulty, and it is stored only once. So can any one of you tell me that the table best ODI batsman is a database? After seeing the definitions of a database, how can we relate that table as database or not? Can somebody reply? Very good. It's a table. So we saw that the features of a database of data and database is not there in that table. So we cannot call that table as database. It's just a simple table. Now let us go ahead. So we have defined database, which is integrated, structured and shared. So data in the best ODI batsman is not integrated with any other data. And it is also not really shared. So it shall not be called as a database. So how can we make a database? Let us see that. So let us add some more information. We add one more table called as best one day international bowlers. So let us see if we add this table and will it satisfy the requirements of a database. Okay. So here we have another table. So as you can see, here we have the list of bowlers and with some information about their matches, their balls, number of runs, number of wickets, economy, and we have the players who are nothing but the bowlers. So do you think that these two tables are integrated? Or do you think that these two tables are shared? Or do you think that these two tables are structured? Please let me know. Okay, no. Can anyone tell me the answer whether these two tables are shared? The one-day batsmen and the one-day bowlers. Is it shared or no? I'm asking whether the two tables are shared. I mean, do you see common values between these two tables? Okay, we have span. Okay, we have one span column as common, and we have matches. But still, it is not satisfying the properties of database. Okay, so let us go ahead. So the two tables together form a database. Can we call them as database complete? No, because we only have one or two columns as common, but still the other fields are different. So they are not closely related. The data in the tables, batsmen and the bowlers are not closely related. So we may say that the data in the two tables is not integrated and is not really shared. So we cannot call them as a database. Now let us do something more. We add one more table called as players. Okay. So in this table, in this example, we'll add one more table called players, and let us see the next slide. So you can see we have some players from different countries, and we have some their personal information, and we have these players, and some of them are batsmen, and some of them are bowlers, and some of them are all-rounders. So do you think that this table, if it is added to the previous two tables, will it complete a database? Yes, yes, very good. So now we see that when we combine all the three different tables, now we can relate that the batsmen are from the player table, the bowlers are also from the player table. So we say that the data is shared across the three tables. So it satisfies the requirement of a data in a database. You can also say that the data is structured. Okay, so we know that the name, the country, the place of birth, and then the year of birth is there. Okay, so three tables can form a database. So the answer is yes. So are the three tables together a database? The data in the table players, the batsmen and the bowlers are now related. So we may say that the data in the tables are integrated, although the tables are not really shared. So with the example given in the book, we cannot explain the entire feature of a database. So we just take these three tables as a small database. And in the coming slides, we will refer this database to understand the database concepts. Okay, but let us see how in real life and how in today's world, how database is organized, and how the big companies are managing what amount of data. So let us see some statistics, and let us take one more example. Okay, so I want you people to think on this example and tell me how many tables can be defined in this particular example. Okay, the example is a university. So just reply in the comment section or how many tables and which tables can we include as a part of university database. College, okay, you can take college, you can take university, okay. Departments, very good. How many tables we can define in the university database? Roll number is an attribute, Janvi. It cannot be called as a table. University name and college name is an attribute. I am talking about tables. Just like we saw we have three tables in the previous example: batsman, bowler, and players. So likewise, how many tables can we define if we want to design a university database? Okay, so college name and individual college data is both the same. College code number is also an attribute. I will come to that. It's just a value. I'm talking about a table. Many of you are telling about the columns inside the table. Okay, cursive shape courses which are being taught in the university, a very good example. It can be a table. Location is a column of a table. Students, very good, Shifa. Students can be a table. We can know the number of students who are studying under Mumbai University. So we can create a table. Faculty, very good. So we can create a table of faculty from different departments, from different schools. Library, yes, yes. Instructors of faculty are same. Students and colleges, yes. Students is already done. Colleges, we can create a table for colleges. Very good. Can we have some more? Can you tell me? Okay, Saqib, I'm telling you that we have taken three examples, right? In the previous table, batsman, bowler, and players. Batsman, we saw many attributes related to batsman. In bowlers table, we saw many attributes related to bowlers, and we saw the attributes of players. So all the three tables, players, batsmen, and bowlers, they form a small database. Now we take another example of a university. Now university is a big database. So what tables will you create? Okay, in a database of university. Okay, so table is like players. Player is a table and player name, player date of birth, player year of birth, and player address. These are all attributes. Okay, so let us see. So for the first one, students, Shifa has given the right answer. So we will create a table about the students. Second, can we create a table of academic data, like how many students are going to the exams for the particular semester, and how many students have enrolled for admission, and how many students are getting passed out for the current academic year. So we can create a table for this, or which can be maintained by the university. So yes, we can make a table about the academic staff, the teachers who are working as a part of Mumbai University. Then we can create a table about research, teachers who are doing doctorate or who are doing higher studies and who are doing research. We can create a table. Even students who are involved in research work. So we can create a table to store the information about that. And we can also make a table about non-academic staff, the people who support the administrative work. Yes, somebody told about the courses, that we can create a table about the courses offered by the university. And yes, we can also create a table about the financial data, like yeah, like how many students have paid for the exam fees, and how many students are going to pay for the convocation fees, and what is the budget of the university for the academic year. All this information, the salaries of the people who are working in university, we can store all this information in the table of financial data. I hope this is understood by everyone. If you have not understood, just let me know. So here we are, Saqib, like I said, here we are creating tables and we are not working on attributes. Now we can go ahead for each of the tables and we can decide what attributes we can take for each of the table. Okay, so somebody said college name. Okay, so we have to create a table of college and then we can decide the attributes: college name, location, address, principal, and so on. Okay, is there any doubt? Just let me know. Okay, very good. So let us go ahead. The next slide. So as an example, try to list all the data you can think of about. Okay, so we can think on this data which can we will take on the 7 topics for this all the 7 tables. So we can decide the attributes. Okay, So like I said, all the attributes can be defined for each of the table. So can you think of other data that is relevant to universities that is not included in here? Can somebody tell, is somebody getting some other information? Can we add some more topics? Okay. So this shows that how a database can be large, how it can be structured, integrated and shared. So now just imagine if you are making a database, yes, department, yes, we can add department here in this university database. So just imagine if I'm creating a tape, if I'm creating a database and I'm having this minimum 7 tables, yes, university staff can be added here in point number 3 and non-teaching staff can be added here in the point number 5. Login table is login for student or login for staff? Mohib. Or both?
Sir, for both.
Yes. So when we create a table for student, we will add attributes like username. Okay. We can create an attribute called as password.
We can
Okay.
have a login table as an independent, na, so that searching can be find.
No. That's not required. Whenever you're creating a table for students or staff, you will define attributes like username, password, along with their first name, last name, email address, phone number, and all their personal attributes. You have to just add 2 attributes, that is username and password, which will help them to log in. And the same is for the staff also. For staff also, when you create the attributes of staff, like his date of birth, date of joining, and the username, password will be same for the staff also. So attributes will be same for both the tables, and this will be used for login. So you don't need to create a separate login table for login. That is not recommended. Okay. So college name and location, that is again an attribute, Shruti. So if you create a table called as colleges, then we can add those attributes. All right. Yes, depart results. Yes, results can be included as a part of academic data, or we can also create, if it is not there in the academic data, we can create a table for result also. But I think we can combine all these results in academic data. Yes, results KT can be part of academic data. Any other answer? Anyone like to add something? Okay. So we can understand that how database can be large and how it can be structured, integrated, and shared. So let us see some real life examples in the industry. Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, MSN, the search engine market in India is estimated to be growing by more than 90%. So these are some statistics, and it is growing every day. And because of the lockdown, also you can see how many people are connected to internet. So basically, there was a time when food, shelter, and clothes was the basic necessity of a man. But now we have added one more thing, that is internet. I hope you all agree. So we need food, clothes, shelter, as well as internet. So internet has been a part of our life, and we cannot afford to live without internet. I hope you all agree. So YouTube, just imagine how large the database of YouTube when there are this much amount of visitors, 15 million visitors in a month, and this is an old statistics. Nowadays, it can be 10 times more. So the large number of videos getting uploaded. I just read a statistics that if a person who likes to who will watch the videos on YouTube, the entire videos, it will take him more than 100 years to complete the watching of all the videos. Just imagine how much data is there on the internet and how it is being managed. Facebook again. so many unique visitors in India in the month of May. Now this is 10 years before stats, and now it has been increased 100 times. And again, Wikipedia, a large collection of documents. Flickr is a photo sharing website. It has more than 4 billion photos. So this is the stats when the book was created and a book was written. And now you can imagine it is like 10 or 20, 100 times more. So we have some stats of MySpace, or it's also a website. Now this, just imagine, we took an example where we only had 10 batsmen, 10 bowlers, and 20 players. Okay. Now just imagine what if the number of rows is equal to 100 billion, and just imagine if there are 20 billion emails and 20 billion friend relationships, then how these are all being managed. Okay. So therefore, our example of 3 tables can be considered as a toy database. It is a very small database, and we are using it to just learn how the actual database is working in the real environment. Okay. So when we work, when we are going to computer engineering, and when we are going to join large companies, then our database, our customers will be very large. So there, that time, we have to manage and we have to do everything to keep our database working properly. So let us see what are the characteristics of database. So I hope everyone has understood whatever we have learned till now. If somebody has any questions or would like to share something, please let me know. You can type or you can unmute your mic and tell. Nobody? All right. So we saw what is a database. Now let us see the characteristics of a database. The first characteristic is the data is persistent. That means the data which we are storing in a database, it is directly or indirectly under the control of the user. That is us. That is, we are the responsible for the data. That if we delete them, then nobody can recover it. But it is not dependent on the system. System is not going to damage or delete your data. It is the responsibility of the user. That means once data is stored in database, it stays there unless it is deleted by the user. Okay? So the data is always present in database, and whenever you make any transaction, you make any data updation, deletion, it has to be completed. So that means a database will do all that is required, but it cannot be deleted by the system. The second point is the metadata and the self-describing nature. Okay. Now the database not only stores the data, but it also stores what kind of data is there in my database. So like we start programming, we define variables, right? Whether it is integer, whether it is character, or whether it is float, or whether it is combination of numbers and characters, right? So our data can be of any kind. So that information is also being managed by the database. So database not only stores your data, but also stores the nature of your data. So it also knows what kind of data you are sharing, in what format you are sharing, in what language you are sharing. That all extra information about your data is called as metadata. Okay. So in short, metadata is nothing but extra information about your data, and it's always self-describing in nature. The third characteristic is data independence. Okay, now this is a very important feature of database. So what is data independence? When we actually define a database, okay, it is independent of the operating system and the storage. Okay, let us say I define a database, and whatever changes I am doing to my database, for example, I am adding a new column or I am removing a new column, that will not be affected or corrupted by the underlying operating system. Okay, so both are the operating system on which I am creating my database has no connection with the actual database which I am working on. So both are independent. So what is the meaning of that? that tomorrow if I change my data, the operating system has no connection with that, and it cannot also corrupt my data which is there in my database. So both are separate, and this allows many applications to use a database without any problems. So I can give a small example. I have a common database. I have one single database, and I have three different applications. Okay, they all are accessing the same database. Okay, the application can be from mobile, can be from internet, or can be from desktop. But all the three different applications are using the same database, and they are doing the updation, deletion, management, everything. So this is called nothing but data independence. So anything we change in a database, it is independent of the physical storage of the database. That is the operating system and the storage of the database. I hope you have understood this. We will see in detail also. We have some more points on this in the coming slides. And the fourth characteristic is access flexibility and security. So what is flexibility and security? We can have multiple users, okay, from different systems, and they can access the database at the same time. Okay, this is a very important feature. I have one database, and I have, let us say, I have 100 users. So the 100 users can log in and sign up, okay, or more than 100 users. They can do everything as if they are working on the together. But actually they are working from different machines, but they are using the same database. And at the same time they can log in, they can write, they can read, and they can do all other operations. And different users may be allowed to access different parts of the database. Okay, so let us say I have a normal user and I have an admin user. So normal user will have only limited access. He may access his own profile, or he may access only his personal details, or whichever he is creating or deleting or updating. So we can give limited access to a normal user. On the other side, when we have the admin user, we can grant him more access. We can give him more access to all the different tables of the database. So likewise, this allows us the database to be flexible, and at the same time, it also gives security. So what do we mean by security? That we can prevent unauthorized access. Okay, a normal person cannot log in with an admin account that we can prevent with the help of ID and password, strong ID and strong password. We can prevent unauthorized access. We can also prevent unauthorized changes. So nobody can go into your database without the admin privileges. So that is the security of a database, which is a very important characteristic of here. I hope you have understood the characteristics. If you have any doubt, voice is not clear. Give me 1 second. Yes, Arbaz, we can use triggers. Yes, in such condition, we will discuss this trigger in subsequent slides. Salva, data about data. That is metadata, right? Voice is not clear. So yes, let me start again. Is my voice clear now? Okay, thank you. So metadata, like I said, when we start programming, so we define variables, right? We define variable can be of integer, or it is of character, or it is a float value. Right? In C programming, we have to define whether it is of which data type. In Python, I guess it is not required, so Python takes the value as it is. Yes? In Python, do you need to define the variable type? Can somebody tell? No, right? You directly define a variable and assign a value, correct? Now that information is also managed by a database. So let us say if I take a database and I have some value. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'm storing integer value. Okay, here I'm storing character value, and here I'm storing point value. Okay, and here I'm storing combination of character as well as number. Okay, okay, so I know that I have some values, and these values are in different formats. So database will also store the information of these types, that what kind of data is there. So it will we can decide that what kind of value I want here. Okay, if I force that I only want integer value here, so database will allow us to create a record of integer, and it will not allow character value. Just like we create variables, we can create tables and columns, and we can enforce that what kind of data we want to store here. Okay, if I say I want to store a character value, so it will only store character. It will never allow alpha numbers here. If I say I want to store only float values, or if I want to say here I want to store a date and time. Okay. Now here in date time, that means it will store values in the form of DD, MM, and YY. So it will never accept values other than this format. Okay. So this extra information about the data, we call it as metadata.